or a king?
Or queen?
Or queen.
Not feeling a sesame seed bun? Swap it for a potato bun. Big appetite? Double your patties. Addicted to our barbecue sauce? Try it in the original chicken sandwich.
Note to self, order chicken sandwich with barbecue sauce.
Your way is our way. The Burger King way. Customize your order anyway today.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And RF Group, money at work.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Canaan Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Friday, the 7th day of January 2022, right here in the Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Again, those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist, whether you're operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, please, please, please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. And I'm going to add a little bit more this morning to that. If you feel extremely uncomfortable driving on the roads, that it means that your self-confidence is not there, that you don't feel that you can operate a vehicle amongst all of the other vehicles that are going to and fro on the roads of the Cayman Islands. Have someone else do the driving for you, or just go and update your skills. Nothing wrong with you going to one of these driver education schools and say, I want you to look at my driving. I want to try to update my skills in terms of driving to make me a better driver on the roads of the Cayman Islands. Those of you who have temperamental issues, you may also want to consider your situation and see whether or not you need help. Because what you should not be doing is you should not be taking out your frustrations on the roads. Those of you who try and have to get dressed while you're driving, have to put on makeup and everything else, that is not the place for it. If it means getting late for wherever you have to go, then delay yourself. Get late. But when you're on the roads of the Cayman Islands and you're operating a vehicle, or if you're walking or if you're cycling, you have to dedicate 100% of your efforts and your time on your walking, on your cycling, or on your driving. It is not part-time. It has to be full-time. So please, please, ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday. Those of you who have lost loved ones, and again this morning you would have heard on the obituaries that were announced here on Radio Cayman. I think we announced 5 again this morning. We want to extend our condolences to all of those families. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memory of your loved ones will be a blessing as well. Those of you who are ill, either at home or at a medical facility, we want to wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Art Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord@candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Before I introduce my guest this morning, I will share with you the latest update that we have as far as COVID-19 situation in the Cayman Islands is concerned. This update was issued on yesterday, the 6th of January, and the Chief Medical Officer, interim, Dr. Attila Newton, reported 466 new cases of the COVID-19, 41 in travelers, and 425 from the community on Thursday, the 6th of January. Public Health reported 1,125 PCR tests were conducted since the last report on Tuesday, the 4th of January, of which 317 were positive. 149 positive lateral flow tests were also reported during this period. There have been 89 confirmed cases of the Omicron variant in the Cayman Islands to date. Meanwhile, the number of probable Omicron cases reached 802 on Thursday, the 6th of January. The number of reported active cases stood at 3,372, with 3,144 of those being linked to community transmission. The percentage of the Cayman Islands population who are reported COVID-19 positive currently stands at 4.74%. So almost 4.75% of the population of the Cayman Islands have reported COVID positive. The total number of cases recorded in the Cayman Islands since the start of the pandemic stood at 10,186. At the same time, in addition to 4 COVID-19 patients, 4 COVID-19 patients were hospitalized in the Cayman Islands as at midnight on Thursday, the 6th of January. There was 1 new admission during this period. There were 10 new cases found in the sister islands. To date, there have been 181 total cases recorded in the sister islands, with 127 having recovered. Out of the total number of cases in the sister islands, 112 were fully vaccinated, 7 were partially vaccinated, and 62 were unvaccinated as well. So, folks, that's an update as far as the COVID-19 situation is concerned. And now I will say to you, you ask for him, and we're giving him to you. Here he is again with me today, none other than Dr. Steve McField. Doc, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For the Record, and Happy New Year to you, even though I've said that on so many occasions so far this year already.
Thank you, Mr. For the Record, and good morning to you, and good morning to all you people in For the Record land, and all the people in the Cayman diaspora, and all the other people who listens to you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And Happy New Year to all of those people. And I'm glad to be back on your show again. I think we make a good couple.
Yes.
Yes, we're a good team. I've listened to you all through the December month, and I listen to you all the time when I'm not on the show. And I've heard your pleas, and then you started it. You started off with it this morning again about the driving and the road use. So please allow me to remind our listeners, to remind the Caymanian people what they pledged in their modern constitution in 2009. Please allow me to remind them what they pledged. The pledge that they made with the people. And they said that the people of the Cayman Islands, recalling the events that have shaped their history and made them what they are, and acknowledging their distinct history, culture, and Christian heritage, and its enduring influence and contribution in shaping the spiritual, moral, and social values that have guided their development and brought peace, prosperity, and stability to these islands. Through the vision, forbearance, and leadership of their people who are loyal to Her Majesty the Queen, affirm their intentions to be a God-fearing country based on traditional Christian values, tolerant of other religions and beliefs, a country with open responsibility and accountable government that includes a working partnership with the private sector and continuing beneficial ties with the United Kingdom, a country in which religion finds its expression in moral living and social justice, a caring community based on mutual respect to all individuals and their basic human rights, a country committed to the democratic values of human dignity, equality, and freedom, a community that practices honest and open dialogue to ensure mutual understanding and social harmony, a safe, secure, and law-abiding community, a country that is free from crime and drug abuse, a country with an education system that identifies and develops on a continuing basis the abilities of each person, allowing them to reach their full potential and productivity, a community that encourages and prepares young people to assume leadership roles, a country that provides a comprehensive healthcare system, a community protected of traditional Caymanian heritage and the family unit, a country that honors the sacrifice of its seafaring men who left the shores of the islands to enhance the quality of life of their people, and in doing so, establish themselves among the finest within the global maritime community of that time, and through their remittance, endeavors, and experience, built the foundation of the Cayman Islands' modern economy. A country that honors and acknowledges the important contribution of Caymanian women who, during the absence of the seafaring men of the islands, managed the affairs of their homes, businesses, and communities, and passed on the values and traditions of the islands' people. A country with a vibrant, diversified economy which provides full employment. A country that makes optimal use of modern technology. A country that manages growth and maintains prosperity while protecting its social and natural environment. A country that respects, protects, and defends its environment and natural resources as the basis of its existence. A country that fosters the highest standard of integrity in the dealings of the private and public sectors. A country with an immigration system that protects Caymanians, gives security to long-term residents, and welcomes legitimate visitors and workers. A country that plays its full part in the region and in the international community. Those are the things that we pledge. When we enacted our modern constitution, I would like to remind the Caymanian people and the listeners, your listeners and all the people in the Cayman diaspora, that these were the pledges that we made. And so we are now in a new year, and I would like us to go back to these pledges and to see those that we have already fulfilled and those that we have not fulfilled, and to fulfill them as soon as possible, because we are in dire straits if we do not do this now.
Yeah, we have spoken about our history, and then
Yes.
some of it, what you read there is also aspirational.
Aspiration.
As well. And we
That's right.
want to be able to achieve those
That's right.
aspirations. And I see where the Premier of the Cayman Islands, Honorable Wayne Panton, commented in relation to that as well, in terms of what their plans were for 2022. And I will share that. Well, here it is. Well, we have to take the commercial break. Let's take the commercial break. When we return, I'll share that with
Yes.
our audience as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
William Banker Ebanks, 1882-1979. William Banker Ebanks was a seaman, steward, farmer, and carpenter, specializing in boat building, roofing, cisterns, coffins, and wood finish, as well as detail work. He sharpened tools with a specialty in saw repairs. He built the schoolhouse on the hill in Bosun Bay, West Bay, and was a member of its council. He also built the first Chapel Church of God on Town Hall Road, West Bay. He assisted with the construction of the West Bay Town Hall. He was the only dentist in the district for many years. Mr. Ebanks was a caring man who helped and shared with those who were less fortunate. He and his wife, Christabella Nee Parsons, had 7 children.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Thank you, Cayman blood donor community. You answered the call at a time most critical, the holiday season. You came, you gave, you saved, you gifted. The National Blood Bank welcomed over 60 pints. Your pint, your gift of value beyond calculation. Thank you, dear blood donor. Thank you, staff of the HSA National Blood Bank. Thank you, nurses, physicians, housekeeping, admin staff, EMTs who worked tirelessly throughout the holidays, saving lives, using your pint, your gift of love to save lives. Thank you, Radio Cayman. Thank you, Health Minister Turner, for sounding the clarion call. A message from Rotary Central Community Service and the Cayman Blood Donor Service. Rotary serves to change lives.
West Bay, home to Barkas National Park, the touristy flair, a family community, a political powerhouse. From sports enthusiasts to car aficionados, affection for silver thatch rope. No matter how far you may venture, West Bay will always be where the heart is. Home will always be in West Bay. West Bay Pharmacy, caring for your home and your family. West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient, quality care is just around the corner.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than Dr. Steve McFeel. So, Doc, the Premier Honorable Wayne Panton, this is from Cayman News Service dated the 4th of January 2022. Premier Wayne Panton has committed to making real change in the lives of local people during 2022 after delivering a budget that has made a considerable amount of money available to plug the gaps in society, from free meals for kids in school to investing in farmers to improve food security. Goes on to say that delivering a New Year message, Panton also promised that sustainability would be the basis of the new PACT government's overall policy, and it would deliver on the change that the public voted for. He also said that even though COVID-19 remained the primary health challenge, the government was going to ensure everyone has access to equitable health care. It goes on to say that outlining the goals for this year largely derived from the recent budget, he spoke about the need to deal this year with a fully researched beach renourishment, and a ban on certain single-use plastics. He also said that government was grateful to the young activists who have been at the forefront of environmental issues locally, and the PACT focus would be on sustainability in every area of government. He's quoted as saying, "Our goal is to ensure that the Cayman Islands is held up as one of the most sustainable countries of the world where all of its citizens thrive." He also added that the PAC government would assist everyone to live their best life, delivering a hopeful message. The Premier said government would continue to navigate the challenges of COVID-19. The article goes on to say that, however, in his own New Year message, the opposition leader was critical of the PAC government's management, as well. But my focus there really was on what the government has said that they're going to do.
Yes.
They're the ones who it's the government that's in charge now. The opposition is there, and I'm sure that where possible and where accepted, their ideas and suggestions may come into play as well. But it is the government that we will see bringing legislation forward, even though you have stressed repeatedly that while the bills may not necessarily get through, there's nothing wrong with the opposition proposing bills and and trying to present them.
That's
as well.
what the opposition is there for.
Yes,
they're the government in waiting.
Yes,
in any day, if the government loses members, God forbid, in a crash or in or airplane crash or anything, they could step right into the positions. Mm-hmm. That's what they're for. Mm-hmm. They can bring private member bills.
Yes,
so forth, and that brings me to the reason why. One of the reasons why I read the pledge that we made in 2009 with our modern constitution is what you said this morning about driving and stuff, because it says one of the pledges that we intend to do is a community that encourages and prepares young people to assume leadership roles. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Under that, we ought to institute driving lessons in the high schools.
Yes.
From a tender age, so that when people come out of high school, they know how to drive. When my son went to college in Canada, to St. Andrews College in Toronto, that was one of the things that they had to do. Mm-hmm. They had to learn how to drive. That was part of their curriculum.
Okay.
They learned how to drive. When they came out, they could drive a car. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we need to do
drive
this
responsibly.
Responsibly.
Yes,
and another thing, a country that makes optical use of modern technology. There are some people in our country who refuse to assimilate as far as obey our traditions, our culture, and our laws. They exist here by what I call a bidirectional system. So, since we cannot force them to do this by speaking to them, you cannot do this by you are not getting the kind of results that you want by bringing it to their attention. Mm-hmm. We need to use technology to do that.
Yes.
We need the technology to detect them who are speeding and driving dangerous on our roads and stuff, and send them tickets. We don't have to stop them and give them tickets. Like, as you said, you can't have the policeman in everywhere. You can't have the policeman on every street and every highway in Cayman. You use technology.
Yes.
And see if we can slow down this stuff, because the year has just begun, and we have the first fatality already on our roads.
Yes.
So, kudos to the government, kudos to the premier for reiterating this pledge that we have that was made in 2009, and I hope that they start to get this done as soon as possible. And anything that I can do to help them to enhance this and to speed it up, I will do so.
You know, I was thinking the other day, and I'm always thinking about things, and sometimes we take things for granted, and we talk about, and in the preamble to our Constitution there and our Bill of Rights, we talk about our seafarers and how they built this country.
Yes.
What we sometimes fail to realize, and I say this, and I want to, this is directed mainly at the Johnny-come-latelys who come here and make demands and benefit immensely from what we have and what we have built in the Cayman Islands, not recognizing the risks, the enormous risks and sacrifices. And some of our seamen sacrificed their lives. They lost their lives on board vessels, due to explosions or whatever on those tankers. And then,
torpedoes
during the war and everything. And we cannot take their sacrifices. We should not take their sacrifices for granted, because if it were not for them, we would not be where we are today. So we don't want people to talk about what they're doing now for the Cayman Islands and think that that's what got us here. The fact that they're able to enjoy such liberties and enjoy the quality of life that they're enjoying now is as a result of those sacrifices that were made years back.
But the thing is, Mr. For the record, is that they do not see us as their equals. That's the problem. They do not see us as their equals, because when some of them come here, the main fact that they have to come to our country to do certain things that they say that we cannot do and that we do not want to do and that we are not willing to do means that they believe that they don't believe that we are our equals, and they treat us just like the slave master treated us many years ago when we were under slavery and servitude. And the fact, and I would say it here, the fact that that when they come and they brought the big monies that we didn't have, because we had the small monies and we were operating on a small economic microeconomic level. They brought the big monies and they came, and then what they did, they didn't want to pay us a living wage. They have never paid a living wage to us. And so what happened is that that has become a paradoxical relationship. We have a paradoxical relationship with them. And if to me, I would say a country that does not feed themselves first create external factors that can cause long-term internal behavioral changes. And that has what has happened to us now in Cayman. And unless the government gets this under control, and one of the things that we pledge, that we would provide a country with an immigration system that protects Caymanians, gave security to the long-term residents, and welcome legitimate visitors and workers. We need to get back to that pledge. We need to get back to those things.
Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, with Dr. Steve Macfield. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Caymanbrac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. Government reported 466 additional cases of COVID-19 on Thursday, 10 of those in the sister islands. This brings the total number of active cases to 3,372. There have been 89 confirmed cases of the Omicron variant in Cayman. The number of suspected cases has risen to 802. In addition, 4 COVID-19 patients are in the hospital as of midnight Thursday. One of those is a new admission. The fully vaccinated rate is stuck at 80%. Only 24% of the population has gotten a booster. The Cayman community is being applauded for answering an urgent call over the holidays to donate type-O-positive blood.
Our public was very receptive. Within a matter of days, we were able to secure in excess of 60 pints of blood to adequately take care of our requirements.
Head of Cayman Blood Donor Services, Carl Brown, tells Radio Cayman the urgent appeal was due to Cayman not having an adequate supply of blood products due to import issues from the United States connected to the COVID-19 pandemic. Caribbean Utilities Company temporarily closes its North Sound office to customer traffic. This is due to an increase in the number of customer service agents who are currently in isolation. In the meantime, all customers are encouraged to use the website, send an email to service@cuc.ky, or call 949-5200. And you've got one more chance to see Saving Christmas Island, the musical. Caitlin Tyson made her directorial debut in December with the self-penned holiday show, which was such a hit, the cast and crew are doing an encore performance tomorrow evening.
So that's what's happening this Saturday, January 8th at the Hartwell Theater, Saving Christmas Island. If you want to get your tickets, you can call 916-5349. You can also visit us on Instagram at Christmas_musical_KY. So if you're wondering, what's the name of that Christmas musical again? Instagram, Christmas Musical KY.
This will be the 5th and final performance of the production. Several people, including children, were reportedly shot and injured following a dispute at the annual Accompong Maroon Festival in St. Elizabeth late Thursday around 9 p.m. in Jamaica. The police issued a warning against staging the event as it was in breach of the Disaster Risk Management Act. However, Chief Richard Curry went ahead with the festival, arguing that the ceremony allowed Maroons to continue their spiritual and traditional rituals. He said, quote, "This is a religious duty of Maroons to honor their ancestors and show the way forward for the born and unborn. The Maroons are celebrating 284 years of the signing of the peace treaty with the British." Now, with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Debbie Russ. The Kazakh president says order has been largely restored after days of anti-government demonstrations, but that security forces are still allowed to open fire without warning against those he called terrorists. A BBC correspondent in the main city, Almaty, says there have been no signs of protest today, but that shots and explosions have been heard. The opposition has rejected government allegations about the protests being led by terrorists. Reports from Nigeria say gunmen have killed dozens of people in villages in the northwest in what have been described as indiscriminate attacks. The rebels are thought to have been fleeing in advance by government troops deployed against them. South Korea has described as exaggerated Pyongyang's claim of having successfully launched a hypersonic missile. It said the North Korean weapon had reached hypersonic speed, but that it had travelled a shorter distance and had been less manoeuvrable than such missiles normally are. A big search and rescue operation is underway in southwestern China, where at least 20 people are feared to be trapped in a collapsed building. 2 people are known to have died in the explosion, thought to have been caused by a gas leak. Inflation in the Eurozone has reached its highest level since the common currency was introduced more than 20 years ago. Preliminary figures suggest prices rose by 5% in December. The easing of COVID restrictions has caused inflation to rise across the world. The United Arab Emirates is, for the first time, marking the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, with offices closing before Friday prayers. The aim is to align the country with global markets. And an Indian man is reported to have received 8 doses of coronavirus vaccine. The authorities are investigating the case, but the man who got vaccinated at 4 different locations says he hasn't suffered any ill effects. That's the latest. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Study local and go far this spring. Want to start your bachelor's or associate degree or just need a few classes to complete? Registration is now open for spring classes at UCCI. Scholarships are available for the spring semester, but you need to act now to meet the deadlines. Visit www.ucci.edu.ky to enroll now. Classes begin January 10th. Enroll by December 1st for a chance to win an iPad or a laptop.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
Pan American Life Insurance Group can help you take your employee benefit solution to the next level. For more than 110 years, millions of people have trusted PALIG because we've always delivered on our promise. PALIG is the only insurer providing group policies to as few as 3 employees and has the ability to combine life, health, disability, and income protection to provide you and your employees with a complete employee benefits package. Let us customize your employee benefit solution today. Call us at 949-8304 or visit our office at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, or visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
We at Pan American Life Insurance Group are here to help you protect your family and your income. For more than 110 years, millions of people have trusted PALIG because we have always delivered on our promise. Life insurance is not only about death, but also about living benefits. We'll help you secure the life insurance, accident and sickness disability income you need to protect you and your family. Call us today at 949-8304 or visit our office, Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, or visit www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving your goals is a very rewarding feeling, but at times can feel very frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, have a deadline. Procrastination is common in human nature. Setting a time to review the work helps to increase motivation because you know that you have to have it done by a certain time. This also ensures that you slow down to review progress. Consider rewards if things are going well. If things are not going as well as you would like, a deadline gives you a chance to pause and reflect on the current goal to see if there may be something getting in the way of being able to get it done.
Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for a limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
We asked 100 people what they would do with a little extra time.
Top answers included hang with friends, sleep, volunteer, walking on the beach, watch TV. But the odd thing is, no one said, stand in line to pay my bill. Funny that. Now Logic introduces Logic My Account. Pay online, view bill history, schedule automatic payments, and more. Go to logic.ky/my account and pay online, not stand in line. Logic My Account. Go on. Give yourself a little extra time. Bake a cake, browse the web, yoga, spring clean.
For the Record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I want to remind you that our phone lines are open. Our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note as well. Doc, this question goes back. I held it over from last year for you. It was actually sent to me on the 15th of December, which was the last show for the record for the year 2021. And the writer says, can Dr. A. Steve McPhail comment on how hard it would be for the sitting government to consider changing the current 6-foot right-of-ways that are now the norm for the owners of landlocked interior land parcels to a vehicular size right-of-way of, say, 20 to 30 feet?
I don't think it would be a problem for the sitting government. I think we must remember that the old easements of way were put into place at a time when people didn't have vehicles to get to their properties. Their mode of transportation was probably a horse or a mule or a donkey, and people walked into the interior, and they got an easement away across other people's property. And traditionally, that easement was only 6 feet to give them time to, a donkey load could come out to the nearest roadway or so forth. I think the government could change that if they wanted to. They could, but they would have to be an amendment to the Registered Land Act to change that.
Okay.
They would have to make an amendment there to change that, to say that easements away into landlocked properties should be or could be 20 feet instead of 6 feet. The government could make an amendment to the Land Act to do that. There's an old right-of-way across my property. When I bought my property in Northward, there's an old right-of-way to get across. It came right across. It came right through my where my house is right now, to get to other properties that were adjoining mine. But since I built the road, those old 6-foot right-of-ways all became extinguished by a roadway, and so those rights are falling away. Although on some old maps that in the top you see them in the dotted lines, means that they still exist. But they exist on the map, but not exist in fact.
Okay. So they need to get around to amending those?
They need to get around to amending those, yes.
Okay. We do have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Ossie.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks. And good morning to Dr. McPhail.
Good morning, sir.
And Happy New Year to you, Doc.
And Happy New Year to you and your family, too.
Thank you very much. And to
you know that I don't know if it still exists, but your family and my family were two of the families that they used to say that we were like, was it something, Jonathan and who in the Bible? Yes. With your grandfather and my grandfather. Your grandfather, Mr. Thompson, and they used to call him Cooley. And,
exactly.
And my grandfather,
Mr. Felix?
Mr. Felix, my grandfather, Lemuel, they were both the best carpenters of the day. The builders of the day were the men of the day in the 1930s and 40s. And I remember getting up on the weekend, Sunday, there was always a row in my grandfather's house with my grandmother and my grandfather. And I couldn't what it was all about. But I remember seeing Mr. Cooley waiting on his bicycle all in whites, waiting for my grandfather to bring his bicycle to go to Windward. They all of those houses with the gingerbread, with the veranda all around, they built them all the way up to East End and North Side and everywhere, and they had their women. They were the men. They were like the playboys in those days. and your grandfather, remember, when I went out on the bay, he would sometimes be sitting up there on the Saturdays on the breakwater, and he had this really nice paper bag, brown paper bag, and he would say, "Son, come here." And he was always chewing his tobacco. And he says, just take this paper bag and go to the back of Captain Ben bar and tell Captain Ben Felix sent you. So I went to the back of the bar, and I would get Captain Ben's attention, and I would say, "Mr. Felix sent me, sir." And Captain Ben would put this bottle in it, and I would carry back. And you know, up to this day, I never opened that bag to see what was in it because you couldn't do that. But I knew what was in it. A bottle of Black Seal rum. And he would say, "Thank you, boy," and spit. And then I would say, "Thank you, boy," and that was it. But you couldn't, I couldn't, you would not dare to open it and see what was in it. See what was in it. But they were great men. They built the town halls. They built the post office. They built the library. They built the trawlers. They built all of those town halls you see in the different districts. Wow. Mr. Real Borden was the contractor, but they were the builders. They were the men who did the work. All that work you see in the church and the post office, all that fans would work. They did that.
The ceilings and stuff.
The ceilings, they did that. They were the great builders of the time, and they did not have any power saws. They did it all by hand saws and wood and the plane and the spokesel and all that kind of stuff and things like that.
Well, you know what, Dr. Steve, I am so glad you refresh OC memory for me, because OC was in New York, and I don't know if you remember my grandfather and Lemuel and them that much.
Oh yeah, I didn't leave here until 1967. You know.
So you well aware of my background, my family, and everybody else, like I am different Steve, right? There was nothing about us in this island that had any kind of prejudicial indecency about us whatsoever, because where we came from, we know what we were all about. So we had no prejudicial issues whatsoever, because we loved everybody, and everybody was one color. Right? Well, see, and Steve, I want to share a little incident yesterday that happened to me. I went to Kirk to grab a little bit of material, doing some work on one little house I got that we rented out, but you know, the people just made a total mess of it. So I'm trying to bring it back, and it's taken more than I got, really. So after coming from Perth, I said, well, you know what, I kind of had the urge for a party. This is about 11:40. I had the urge for a party, so I said, let me just go by to go around and grab a party. So I drive in, and as I drive in the entrance, and you're familiar with the Tortuga Rum party place?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You are. So there's the entrance, and then there's the exit, and then there's a little circle to your right of that. I normally park on the side there, out of the way. But yesterday when I went there was a couple of vehicles that were parked there. So on your left now, there's a upstairs building. So I decided to park right there.
Mm-hmm.
But there was two plate spaces up to the window. But I don't like going up to the window because people come and they block it in, and you got to wait now till they finish. and before he can leave. So that was the reason I don't go up to the window. So I got out of my truck and locked it and walking up towards the door, and I heard this thing, Daddy. So, I mean, I don't see nobody, no security or anything like that. So I know he's not talking to me because I left my son at home. All right? So it's no way my son was going to be down at Tortuga Rum hollering to me, Daddy. So he after he realized that didn't work, yo. So a guy said to me that was going towards the stand on the outside, said to me then that, you know, the security is hollering at you. I said, you don't address people that kind of way, so I totally ignored him. So I did look around, and he said to me, why don't you park your truck up in them two spaces? So I totally ignored him. I went and I got my pallet and I came back out. So when I came back, he was outside. Where he came from, I don't know. Maybe he was inside sleeping, only God knows. So I said to him, I said, let me say something to you. I am not your father, all right? And he looked back at me then and said, well, you know, after I tell him, I said, stop telling people what to do. And in the manner that you tell people how to do things. I say, you need to change that. And he looked at me and said, well, you are not, I'm not your daddy. I say, you said one thing right this morning, because maybe I could have something look like you in another life, but not in this lifetime that I can have something looking like you. So I just got in my truck and I drive off, but he started shouting and carrying on all kind of, nasty words and stuff like that. So I just drove off and leave him. You know, that is what we have to deal with in this country, OC. Every place I go that there's one of these people that is a security that are in these places, I have problems with them. Because all they're trying to do is flex their muscles, right? And that needs to change in this country, because if not, matters going to be taken into people's hands, and then maybe they'll get the message that they cannot disrespect and talk to people any way they want to. I can leave it there, gentlemen. So have a good morning.
Right. Thank you for that, too. Thank you
very much. DJ Lynn, we're going to take the commercial break now, folks. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
As we head into the new year, the team at Travel Cayman want to say a very special thank you to everyone in quarantine and isolation from the people of the Cayman Islands. They know how painful it can be to sacrifice the time with loved ones, especially over the holidays. The community is grateful for all that you are doing to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Thank you for stepping up in these tough times. The goal is to protect all those who are vulnerable. This may include faces you do not know, but also many that you know and love. Visit www.exploregov.ky/coronavirus to learn more about the resources available. To the persons in quarantine or isolation, the Travel Cayman team would like to wish you a happy and healthy new year.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. We have a birthday greeting going out here, and this is going out to Kenny Bell. And it says here, friendly, pleasant, responsible young man at Hurley's who deals with the grocery carts. It also says that he's not at work today because he is recuperating from the unfortunate incident of being injured by a hit-and-run driver just before Christmas. So happy birthday to Kenny Bell. And again, you know, a hit-and-run driver, we're seeing more and more of it occurring in the Cayman Islands as well. Another reason why we need to have more and more cameras, a network of cameras, and we do have some, but there's new technology out there that we need to avail ourselves to.
That's right.
And, you know, we should not put a monetary value on any human life. And those cameras will help to save a person's life. Now, some people may argue with that and say, well, you know, the cameras there, they will pick up or detect whether or not someone has hit someone and maybe license plate and stuff like that, but that doesn't help that individual. But it may assist in getting that driver off the road so that there are not further incidents do not occur along the way. But we're seeing more and more hit and runs in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, because they have camera technology now that can detect, they can take photographs of you in your car while you're driving to see if you're using cell phone.
I shared that the other day. It's on trial in Australia and in the UK, and it's something that we need to look at. It may be expensive, but it may be it's cheaper at the end of the day than having police officers out there, because we can't have them everywhere.
And they have cameras now that can pick up gunshot flashes 25 miles away and can tell you the coordinates within inches of where the gun was fired, and so that you don't have to run around asking people if they've seen this or anything. You know exactly where it went off, and so that is the kind of camera that they have now, and of course, with those kind of cameras around our coastline too, we could detect people coming into our who are breaching our borders. As you seen last year, we have so many border breaches, people coming in illegally and bringing illegal guns and drugs. And I think that that would be somewhere where we could use those cameras too on the shorelines and the borders around our borders too.
Yeah, that is possible. Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that about the borders and everything, because we shared earlier what the Premier said in relation to, you know, what's going to take place in the new year and, you know, all of the improvements. And I know that you, as the chairman of the Residence and Status Board, and I'm also on one of the immigration boards as well, we have to be careful in terms of what we say.
That's right.
And not let it appear as if we're
biased in any way.
But I think we can safely say that in order for us to address many of the concerns that we have in the Cayman Islands as far as retaining our Caymanian identity, retaining our culture, ensuring that Caymanians have ample access and in many instances first right of refusal when it comes to jobs and everything else, that we have to reform our immigration system. Just like in the 1960s, we had to reform it. We had to introduce a work permit law. In the 70s, we reformed it. In the 80s, we reformed it. Many times we made adaptations and we responded based on the needs of the island. When our population was extremely small, we needed to bring people in to work. We're in a different environment. We're in a different culture now, where all of those changes that we made before have now impacted, where we are today and how Caymanians feel, how they feel threatened and everything else.
Well, I can tell you, Mr. For the record, OC, that I have spoken to the minister that I serve, and I have spoken very, very frankly to the minister that I serve, and I have said, and I'm not afraid to say it on the radio, that there are some changes that have to be made to the Immigration Transition Law 2021, Transition Act 2021. If we are to obtain the kind of society that you just talked about, there has to be some changes made. And I have recommended some of the changes that should be made and have to be made. Otherwise, if we do not make that, we are going to be worse off than we are now, now.
And I don't think that we're going to get a lot of kickback from the UK in relation to that. And I'm prefacing this new plan for immigration policy in a statement made by the Priti Patel, who is the Minister for the Home Office in the UK. And I'm going to share that with our listeners. But first we have a caller, so let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, OC, and good morning to Dr. Steve.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Happy New Year to you. First time I'm talking to you for the New Year.
I noticed that I never got...
New Year and Happy Christmas to you guys.
I noticed that I never got that round bread.
Yeah, well, I was supposed to send it by OC, and OC never came up.
Okay.
I like that one. I like that. I'll make a special trip for it then.
I wouldn't take the chance and send it by no one else, So, yeah, I just called to say, Doc, when you were sort of commending some of the previous governments back in the day, I do recall reading about them, and the government's departments, especially the police, taking people land and using it for 13 years and really not sort of in some way compensated them for it. But these governments just over the last decade or so can just take people land and use it and the people don't get compensated. I mean, the Sir Alden McLaughlin was one of the main guys in the Constitution, and that is there in the Constitution. That anybody using, especially the government, using anyone's land, the proprietor of the property must be compensated immediately. And now, 13 years, the government can use my property, and it just goes by like no one cares, no one don't make that an issue.
You mean your property where your bakery is? So you were talking about a little bit of police station?
Exactly.
Well, I remember OC telling you so many times when you were on the radio about the same issue and you were not getting any redress for it, that you should probably bring an action to get to satisfy the things that you wanted. Because if you keep writing to people and speaking to people about to protect your rights and they're not doing that, there's another step you can take. And OC has been telling you that now for months. That what you should have done.
Not what I should have done. What I already done. I already addressed them with letters, in particular, and pictures. I already did that. So
yes.
what more it is for me to do?
Yeah, but you haven't
get
got
a lawyer for $1,000 a day to go and deal with it. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Well, because you might be able to, at the end of the day, whatever you pay that lawyer to claim your costs, recoup that as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. But you have to protect your rights, and that's what the courts are there for.
But I mean, but what the government is there for? I mean, they use people's property. They know they use my property. I have proof they use my property. Why a lawyer have to be involved?
No, I agree. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to go to that extent. But if you're not getting any
redress,
response, then
yes, the courts are there. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
But you have not you have not exercised all
of the options.
Mr. McPhee, that's beside the point.
But you have not exercised all your options.
That's not how the government works. They could get 1 million lawyers, and the answer could be what it is now. They don't have no time to deal with that.
But they will have to have time.
They will have time to go to court.
If you go to court and there's summons to go to court, they must appear. Otherwise, they default. You get a default judgment.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. I understand you, man. All right. You guys have a nice day.
And be sure to send that round that round braid for down here.
Yeah, well, I can't take any chances in there, but those braids are highly in demand.
Okay. All right. So Doc, very quickly, I hope I can finish this. The new plan for immigration policy, and this is a statement that was made on the 2nd of December, 2021 by the Home Office, right? And the foreword to it says that the UK has a proud history. And I believe in almost every point here that I say the UK, we can insert Cayman into that because, it's so similar. The UK has a proud history of being open to the world. Global Britain will continue in that tradition. I would say the Cayman Islands we have a proud history of being open to the world. We have over 100 and plus nationalities.
130 odd nationalities
that we're told that are here in the
here.
Cayman Islands, and we're extremely proud of that tradition as well. Our society is enriched by legal immigration. We say the same thing. We are a better country for it. We say the same thing as well. We recognize the contribution of those who have come to the UK lawfully and helped build our public services, businesses, culture, and communities. And we always will. We also take pride in fulfilling our moral responsibility to support refugees fleeing peril around the world.
Which we have done.
Right. Since 2015, we have resettled almost 25,000 men, women, and children seeking refuge from cruel circumstances across the world, more than any other European country. This year, we have extended support to Britain's national overseas status holders and their family members threatened by draconian security laws in Hong Kong, creating a new pathway to citizenship for over 5 million persons. And we continue to play our part as the third highest contributor of overseas development aid in the world. Behind each statistic lies the story of a person or a family who can look forward to a better future because of the generosity of the British people. We celebrate that. We can say the same thing here in the Cayman Islands as well. But it goes on to say, but these humanitarian measures do not stand alone. They are part of our overall approach to asylum and immigration. And to sustain them, that system, all of it, must be a fair one. This government promised to regain sovereignty, and we have made immigration and asylum policy a priority. We have taken back control of our legal immigration system by ending free movement and introducing a new points-based immigration system. The United Kingdom now decides who comes to our country based on the skills people have to offer, not where their passport is from. That is how we are addressing the need for clear controls on legal immigration. But to properly control our borders, we must address the challenges of illegal immigration too. This government will address that challenge for the first time in over 2 decades through comprehensive reform to our asylum system. Illegal immigration is facilitated by serious organized criminals exploiting people and profiting from their human misery as well. And I'm going to stop there for now because it goes on to talk more about illegal immigration. But the part that I read there, like I said, we can just change the word the words United Kingdom, replace them with the Cayman Islands, and the same thing applies here. Now, we must reform our immigration system. If we do not do so, down the line, we're going to, we see it now, we're going to encounter more problems. We cannot be the breadbasket. We
of
cannot,
the world.
Exactly, and we cannot be the economic refuge
of everybody in the
for
world.
Everyone as well.
And to go on, they're also reforming their immigration law in regards to people who are being committed of criminal offenses.
Yes. And we'll get to that
in Britain.
Yeah, we'll get to that as well. We have 2 callers, but we have to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza, open Monday to Friday 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. 2 callers on hold. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Happy New Year to you.
And good morning, Mr. Maxfield.
Good morning, sir. Happy New Year to you too, sir.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to address both of you with one speech. I wish you both a happy, healthy, prosperous, and spiritual New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, speaking of immigration, you got to do a little bushwalk now and then. Bushwalk.
Mm-hmm.
Take a little walk along the sides of the road in Grand Cayman, especially up here in the north side area when you're driving a thing. And you look along the side of the road, you see a little clump. We're talking Caymanian now, you know. You see a little clump of logwoods.
Mm-hmm.
Now you look in between them logwoods and you see how many other trees is in between that brotherhood there. That's a brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Logwood brotherhood, trust me. And you count the trees that is up amongst that.
That is the kind of immigration we need here, a logwood immigration. Use these kind of things to make a little common sense out of it. And that will adjust your thinking. That's nature. That's the way I look at it. You got to walk right, look at it, see how the logwoods just blend together. They take up the whole area. That's Kemanyan. End of story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Yes.
Yes, I like the metaphors that he used there. Yes, exactly. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning, OC.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, my friend. How are you? How are you?
Happy New Year to you.
Fine, thank you. Happy New Year to you. Thanks very much. Two little comments I want to make. One of them is just to upgrade you on my appeal. My appeal against the suit against Mr. Justice Kawali and the government will be heard by the Court of Appeal. We are trying to find a date during the summer session of the Court of Appeal. So that is already agreed. I've filed the second appeal. What happened was that it went before as Dr. Steve is aware, it went before a single judge of the Court of Appeal to hear the appeal. I didn't succeed there because he thought it had no merit, so I had the option now to bring it to the full Court of Appeal. So I have now brought it to the full Court of Appeal, and it's all been filed now, and so we are trying to find a date, myself and all the parties, for the summer hearing of the full Court of Appeal.
That's for leave to appeal.
Pardon me?
That was for leave to appeal.
No, well, yes. It was for leave to appeal,
yes,
which was denied. Yes,
it was denied by the single judge, and now you're going before the full panel.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's quite right. That's very, very accurate. Yes. And not to discuss it in great detail, but the two main points of argument, which would be of public interest, will be one. Basically, I'm arguing that I was never given a hearing, because they were supposed to call witnesses and full discovery. It was just struck out without being heard. So that's one of my basic arguments. The second basic argument, which I'll be making, and I've already made it in the written document, is that there were some very adverse comments made. But you see, this matter went to a single judge before, when it went as a constitutional motion. But when it came back, the judge dismissed it, but he made a lot of adverse comments about it. So when the judge of the Grand Court was hearing it, my argument is that, well, he was prejudiced then, what do you expect, and so forth. But the single judge has said there was no prejudice. There couldn't have been prejudice because the judge was speaking obiter. Obiter, as Dr. Steve knows, is when a judge is not making a decision, but is just making some comments. But I'm arguing basically that it was very prejudicial. But the second and last point has to do with the governor. The governor appeared on Talk Today yesterday, and he said something about how the judiciary in the Cayman Islands is very accountable and so on. Now, I don't want to necessarily disagree with him generally, although I have my own views, but I just want to highlight the fact that at the moment, whenever you file a complaint against a judge of the Grand Court or Court of Appeal, whenever you file a comment, there have been no rules since 1916. Since 2016, there are no rules which govern that process. Previously, there were rules, but for now, we are getting to 6 years. There are no rules. You just go there, and the Chief Justice dismisses your application without a structured procedure. And I've drafted some rules, as I told OC late last year, and they've gone to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, who didn't know, actually, that they were supposed to draw the rules because they were punting it to the governor, but we have now established it. So that is something that has to be dealt with. You can't have a complaint procedure which doesn't have rules. When you complain to the Ombudsman, to the Liquor Licensing Board, Human Rights Board, all of them have rules, but the judiciary doesn't have rules. And let me close on this point. There was a case, I won't mention the name of the judge, although I could. There was a judge who was a member of the Court of Appeal in the Cayman Islands and was also a president of the Court of Appeal in Bermuda. He's a Jamaican judge. For a long time, this judge denied that there was a recording of a certain proceeding. And even his registrar, as well as himself and their lawyer, they signed statements to say actually there was no certain recording. It was found out 7 years later and reported in the Royal Gazette in Bermuda. It was reported that actually the judge had been lying all along when he was saying there was no recording. The recording existed, and they tried to have him prosecuted for perverting the course of justice. By that time he was old. He is now dead. That judge used to sit as a Court of Appeal judge in the Cayman Islands. So I think there are some issues, even in Cayman, we still have to deal with about the right of the public to complain against judges. I just thought I should chime in on that. I hope the governor is listening, because those are some of the issues he has to address, including the fact that there is a need for rules about how people can complain against judges. I thank you for your time. Continue listening.
Before you go, Billy, don't hang up yet, because I want to get both your and Dr. McField's view on this. Here we are in January.
I think you should listen more to Dr. McField's view.
I will. But here we are in January 2022. Come next month, February, it would have been 1 year since the Day case was heard, and pretty close to that in terms of the case for Bermuda as well by the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. If justice is supposed to be fair and it's supposed to be swift, why is it taking over a year for us to get some resolution, final resolution to those cases? Is it unusual for I've seen other cases that went before, after there, and they have
had rendered judgment to those.
Exactly. Why is it?
Oh, but do you want me to go first?
Sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, then I can also have more time to listen to Dr. Steve. You see, when you made that point, I listened to you late last year when you made that point, and it took some time to explain. I meant to call you, but it didn't happen. It's great that you raised it here. You see, your concern, first of all, is very, 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 very important. Look at these two young ladies. At a personal level, it must be affecting them very badly, because this, especially the child who they are planning to adopt, right? The child is growing. You know, kids would like to grow up in the same place, have the same friends, and so on. So they really, at a personal level, is a problem. But at a legal level as well, it is a problem, because if you look at, and this is an issue that comes up also in my appeal. You see, there is a practice direction, as Dr. Steve is aware, issued by the Chief Justice to say that all judgments which are reserved by the courts must be delivered within 3 months, unless there are extenuating circumstances. 3 months you have to deliver at the end of the hearing. And here we are, we've got the Privy Council taking, it's about a year now, you know.
A year since the case ended, and they start deliberating. The case ended. The case ended in last year, February.
Can you imagine?
Yes, I think so.
So this is 11 months, and so in the Cayman Islands we're supposed to deliver in 3 months. But on top of that, the Court of Appeal themselves, in the Oliveira against the Attorney General, the case coming out of Antigua, they say that an immigration authority, which will be of interest, especially with regard to Dr. Steve, what he's doing now, an immigration authority must deliver a judgment, a ruling on an application within a reasonable time, and they felt that if it takes 1 year, then it is too long, and that person can claim damages. So they themselves, the Court of Appeal, they have said other authorities must deliver judgments within 1 year, because 1 year is too long. They didn't say that 1 year is good. They said 1 year is too long and you can even claim damages. How come they themselves are not delivering that judgment? I mean, this is what Jesus Christ said when he said, I'll condemn you out of your own mouth, because you put a rule and yet you do not want to follow it. I think they need to be able to look at that because at the end of the day, under the Constitution, your case is supposed to be heard and determined within a reasonable time. 12 months is not a reasonable time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Doc. We're going to take the commercial break for headline news. When we return, the conversation with Dr. Steve McField will continue, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Follow Radio K-Man on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio K-Man.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government reported 466 additional cases of COVID-19 on Thursday. There have been 89 confirmed cases of the Omicron variant in the Cayman Islands. The suspected number of cases has reached 802. Kazakhstan's authoritarian leader says he has ordered security forces to, quote, fire without warning amid a violent crackdown on anti-government protests. The president also said 20,000 bandits had attacked the main city, the epicenter of protests sparked by a fuel price hike. He has blamed foreign-trained terrorists without giving evidence. The Interior Ministry says 26 armed criminals and 18 security officers have been killed so far in the unrest. U.S. President Joe Biden has heavily criticized former President Donald Trump on the first anniversary of the attack on the U.S. Capitol. In a televised speech, Mr. Biden accused his predecessor of spreading, quote, a web of lies that led to the mob's assault. Trump supporters stormed the Capitol building on January 6th as Congress gathered to certify Mr. Biden's presidential election victory. Live footage of U.S. politicians cowering from the mob shocked the world. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning, and you can hear by the excitement in my voice, none other than Dr. Steve McPhelan. Based on the WhatsApp messages that are coming in, our listeners out there are happy to hear his voice as well. So, Doc, the hearing, the day it's called The Day and Another, the appellants versus the government of the Cayman Islands, and another respondent, Cayman Islands. And it talks about the issue, gives the facts of the case, tells you who the appellants are, the respondents, the justices, Lord Reed, Lord Hodge, Lady Arden, Lord Salas, and Dame Victoria Sharp. The hearing start date was the 23rd of February, 2021, and the hearing finish date was the 24th of February, 2021 as well. And since then, we have heard nothing. Now, I know some of the groups representing Ms. Day indicated that they were expecting sometime in October. Of last year to hear something, and absolutely nothing. Now, I'll go ahead and let you talk about that, because I'm going to look for the Bermuda case now and see when that was dealt with as well. Go ahead, Doc.
Well, it's not only the Bermuda case. It's the case of Turks and Caicos Island that had just been heard, and I think that went to the Privy Council after the Day case. The Privy Council says that the Integrity Commission of the Turks and Caicos Island, you know the case of Mizik, Mizik the QC,
yes,
the brother of the premier, the former premier Mizik. The Privy Council says that the Integrity Commission of the Turks and Caicos Island has no power to demand documents from a third party, and the third party was a bank. They wanted bank statements from Mizik, of Mizik the QC, and the Privy Council say that the Integrity Commission has no power to demand those documents from the bank, Mizik bank statements, without a formal investigation of someone who is subject to its authority. Mizik was not subject to its authority. Mizik was just the brother of the ex-premier, and they wanted someone his records from the bank I guess to see if he was if there's any connection with his brother.
Yes, yeah.
And the Privy Council say that the Integrity Commission had no power to do so.
So they stopped them from going on the fishing expedition.
They stopped them from going on a fishing expedition to
Yes.
see whether or not you have money in your bank or something like that.
Mm-hmm,
And the Privy Council said, unless you are the subject of the investigation, and they have authority over you, that you cannot get those records.
Okay. Now we know that the Integrity Commission in the Turks and Caicos is headed up by the
English, by the
so
British.
Would that have had anything to do with the fact that it was heard so quickly, or
probably
because we see in the United States, for instance, where you can actually, I think it is called a shadow docket or something like that.
Yes,
that you can actually go to the Supreme
to ask
Court.
them questions.
Yes,
To seek answers to questions, legal questions that you have to get it done quickly.
And they can determine quickly. Do we have those facilities in the Privy Council as well?
Yeah, we have.
And
those,
maybe that's how the Integrity Commission was able to get their response so quickly.
Yes, probably. But while you were there, I was thinking about some other amendments that the British government wants to bring to their immigration, to their civil rights law.
Oh yeah. We'll find that. I'll find that when we go to the next commercial break as well. So just to update you also, Doc, the case in Bermuda, right, and the issue in Bermuda was whether the Bermudan legislation provides that only marriages between a man and a woman will be recognized as such in law, infringes whether or not that infringes the Bermuda Constitution. Their case was heard on the 3rd of February, even before ours, right?
Yes.
2 weeks in Pico before ours, 2021. The hearing date was on the 4th of February, 2021, and they still haven't gotten any response to that yet. Now, I as a layperson, not knowing anything about law, I just get this impression that for some reason the judgment that they want to arrive at, they want to ensure that one judgment, the judgment in the Cayman Islands or in Bermuda, does not contradict
each other.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think you're right.
And should that be taken into consideration?
I think you're right. I think you're completely right. They want to have a mutual judgment between the two countries. And I think that's what they're trying to do. I think that's what they're trying to do. They do not want to have an issue that will not resolve the problems that the two overseas countries have.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem that they're having.
And what it also does, it puts I believe the UK in a spot, because remember now, they have been, even though we say to a certain extent, and to a certain extent it's true, we are the co-architects of our Constitution.
That's right.
Bermuda, they are the co-architects of their Constitution as well. But it puts the UK in a funny spot.
Yes.
In terms of now, if they find later on that what they have actually allowed in the Constitution does not, come up to scratch.
I think
and whether or not, because we see situations, we know how subtle the UK can be. Look at, I was reading the other day about, Tony Blair and his knighthood.
Yes.
And it took him so long to get it.
Yes.
And why was that? Was because the word coming out there is that the monarch chose not to do it before because of his unpopularity, and she was not, or the Buckingham Palace was not necessarily pleased with him in terms of going into the Afghanistan and Iraq war as well. In the background, they can do their little things. They don't put it out in the open as much, even though you have newspapers like The Guardian and Daily Mail and stuff like that will find things out and bring them to light later on. But we don't know what the world is going on in the background.
And bearing in mind what you just said about they have given us the right to be the architects of our own constitution, I would just like to remind your listeners what it says. It says that marriage, adoption, marriage, divorce, burial, devolution of property on death, that means by wills or other like matters that is the personal law applicable to persons of that description, are not under the discrimination part of the Constitution. In other words, the part that says that government shall not treat any persons in a discriminatory manner in respect of their rights under this Constitution, that where adoption, marriage, divorce, burial, devolution of property or death or other like matters that is the personal law applicable to persons of that prescription does not contravene the Constitution if the government makes a law controlling and in relation to those things. It's not discriminatory. So what they are what they have to deal with, and what's giving them trouble is the right to marry in Cayman, and the law that says marriage is between a male and a female of a person of the opposite sex who are able to marry. That means of the person who complies with the marriage law.
Okay, got you on that. Okay, so we're gonna go. I'm gonna want to look back again.
But look, try to find the intended amendments to the Bill of Rights in the UK. That the UK government is going to amend that with the next sitting of Parliament.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I will. So this part now, say that the introduction to this information in this bill, it goes on to say it is counter to our national interest. Talking about illegal immigration is facilitated by serious organized criminals exploiting people and profiting from their human misery. Now, we don't have so much as illegal immigration in the Cayman Islands as we have legal immigration that is facilitated by the legislation that we have in place that does not necessarily properly address the issues that we're facing. We hear people talk about marriages of convenience. We have people gaming the system now. For instance, using frivolous appeals processes to be able to stay in the Cayman Islands for 5-10 years after a work permit has been refused or whatever. Those are the flaws and the loopholes that we need to address. So our issue isn't so much illegal immigration as it is to us looking at our legislation and crafting our legislation to not only suit the times, but to suit the conditions that the Cayman Islands are facing now, and also to address the legitimate concerns that Caymanians have.
And one of the concerns that I meet not most time, but sometimes, is the fact that we have a lot of criminal elements in the country. People who have committed offenses and have spent many years in jail or many months in jail, and the government makes a deportation order against them, and we're not able to enforce the deportation order because they are going to the courts and they are invoking Article 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which says that they have the right to family life. And they're able to stay, even though they're guilty of some of the crimes that we have mandatory sentences for. If you're convicted, and then they still are able to stay in the country. The British government is amending their Civil Rights Act so that they do not have they cannot take refuge under those conventions to be able to circumvent the deportation order that is made against them.
Yeah, and here's something else that mirrors what's happening in the Cayman Islands and what you just spoke about. It goes on to say here, it says, it talks about because of the capacity of our asylum system is not unlimited, the presence of economic migrants, which these illegal routes introduce into the asylum system, inhibits our ability to properly support others in genuine need of protection. Goes on to say, this is particularly true in our court system, where we are seeing repeated unmeritorious appeals and claims, often made at the very last minute, which can delay the removal of those, including foreign national offenders, with no right to reside in the UK. This can waste significant judicial resources, resulting in delays to the assessment of genuine claims, which is to the detriment of vulnerable people. Now, we could take that part there that it talks about wasting significant judicial resources resulting in delays to the assessment. We could say that the use of unmeritorious appeals and gaming the systems here in the Cayman Islands, resulting in Caymanians being able to access some of these jobs that should become available to them, but they continue to be held simply because people are gaming the system through the appeals process. Time for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. This year, a new rule was placed on fishing for grouper that says no one can fish for nass or grouper anywhere in Cayman from December 1st to April 30th while they're spawning. There is also no fishing allowed at all for any kinds of fish in the spawning zones, and no scuba diving there either. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. And I hope I'm not boring you with what we're sharing here, but I know there's some people out there who are not bored by this at all, because this is articulating exactly how many people in the Cayman Islands feel. So like I said earlier, where the word British or Britain is there, we could easily replace those words with the Cayman Islands. Here we go again. It says that the British people are fair, generous when it comes to helping those in need.
Just
Cayman,
like we are.
Just like we are.
Just like we are. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But persistent failure to properly enforce our laws and immigration rules, and the reality of a system that is open to gaming and criminal exploitation risks eroding public support for the asylum system and those that genuinely need access to it. And that part, I would replace risk eroding public support. I would say risk eroding public support for our immigration system and those Caymanians that genuinely need protection by that system. Goes on to say, we are therefore compelled to act and have three major objectives with these reforms. Firstly, to increase the fairness and efficacy of our systems so that we can better protect and support those in genuine need of asylum. And I'll strip that out and say, for Cayman purposes, those Caymanians in genuine need. Secondly, to detect illegal entry into the UK, thereby breaking the business model of people smuggling networks and protecting the lives of those they endanger. Thirdly, to remove more easily from the United Kingdom those with no right to be here. Goes on to say that to deliver against these objectives, our plan for immigration will make big changes, building a new system that is fair but firm. So we need to have that in place here. We don't have a problem so much with illegal immigration. Yes, we have the Cuban migrants, coming through. We have a MOU with Cuba. We can seek to make that more robust if we need to. But meanwhile, we shouldn't ignore the fact that even with those small numbers coming, the system is open and susceptible to people smugglers as well. Not so much to the Cayman Islands, but from the Cayman Islands to other jurisdictions. And we have to ensure
that we cannot facilitating that.
Exactly.
We're not facilitating that.
Exactly.
Because that's an offense. That's an international offense that we do.
Yes.
We're not facilitating. And I just want to share with your listeners and for the record land, some of these immigration changes that we have to make and that should be made, I would say, cannot be expected to be successful unless there is also changes to the way we pay people.
Yes.
In other words, a living wage to people, because you can't expect people to be working for slave labor. You cannot expect people to have to give their labor for slave wages and to be happy because their economic sense of gravity has been lost. You cannot expect that to happen here. That is happening here now. And so those reforms that the government has to make to the Immigration Transition Act 2021 revision also has to come with changes in the labor forces. And one of those changes that have to be made is the changes to the wage now, the minimum wage now, because you cannot expect people to work for slave labors and to be happy. And one thing we also have to remember too, that those who use their money power to suppress others will not be able to continue without social discomfort. In other words, those people who have the power not hire Caymanian people and use their money to suppress Caymanian people moving up from the entry level into the supervisory job and into the management system. That has to be addressed as well.
Yep.
And that has to be addressed aggressively as well, because otherwise we'll just be on the periphery without moving anywhere. And the next generation, they'll be talking about this as we're talking about it here on the radio. All of that has to be accompanied together with what the Premier said that the government intends to do.
Yep. Okay. I want to share two messages that we received from our listeners. This person said, I'm glad that someone raised the issue about the 6 foot access. Some land registers read 6-foot access over a vehicular access. This has created an it said this has created a situation because the 6-foot access is being driven over. What is happening? That Caymanians are forced to sell their land to developers who can put in 30-foot access or more and have acquired a parcel of land with a 6-foot access right of way to them. One of the reasons why Caymanians have been selling their lands as they cannot afford to do so or even get a grant or of easement. The land, lock lands are some of the best lands. If proper accesses are legislated, this may be a way to help Caymanians hold on to their lands for the future generations.
I agree.
Yeah, and not only that, also people will have a tendency to want to diminish the value of your land by saying because it doesn't have access and say that is not a value. So
so you sell for what you can get for it is what you call a fire sale for your property.
Yes, okay. And another listener has written in, and they said, thank you for your excellent and enlightening show. I'm happy for you to share this with your listeners, but equally happy to simply share it with you. I'm saddened to hear about the gentleman from Hurley's, Mr. Kenny, who was injured by an alleged hit-and-run driver. I have known Kenny since he was a student. He's always concerned for others. Many months ago, when I had a knee injury, he kindly helped me cross the car path, always cheerful and helpful. I trust he will feel better soon and wish him a happy birthday. I will look forward to seeing him back at work soon. Yes. And we owe it to Kenny.
Yes.
If they have not yet found the culprit, and I know that the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service will put the full efforts behind it, and anyone with information in relation to it, you may own a body shop.
That's right.
Where someone comes in to fix a fender bender or something like that.
So quickly, overnight. They will do it overnight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring it to the attention of the authorities as well. If you see something, say something, because we owe it to Kenny.
That's right.
Yes. Okay, Doc, we have 3 minutes before we take our next commercial break. So I'll have you continue talk. So you want us to find the article on the which one?
The article on the change of the Bill of Rights of the UK Bill of Rights.
Yes, okay.
They want to make changes to the Bill of Rights.
Yes, got you. I'll find that for you.
See if you can find a.
Meanwhile, if there's anything that you want to talk about, go right ahead.
No, I was saying that when they are making changes to the Immigration Transition Act, there also has to be changes to the labor law and all of those things to make those changes become effective so that Caymanians can feel and can see the changes that are made and that the changes have effect on them. We cannot have people, like, as I say, working for slave labor and expect them to be happy because their economic sense of gravity has been lost. That's what happens when you pay people slave labor. The economic sense of gravity have become lost, and then people become unhappy, and then that brings problems in your society. So. That is one thing, and then there are those who have great sums of money and has a lot of economic power, and the tendency is to suppress Caymanians from moving from the entry level to the highest part in a company or in an organization. That has to be addressed too. all those things have to be addressed to open the doors, actually open the doors and leave the door open for Caymanians so that Caymanians can go through the doors and can climb the ladder of success. That has to be. It must not be lip service, and must not be some sort of token gesture.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be real, that Caymanians can see it.
Yes.
Otherwise,
tangible. Yes.
It has to be tangible. Otherwise, the changes will be for naught, and we'll be back here the next generation talk about the same thing. If we reach the next generation, if a next generation will exist by that time, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I got another question for you. That this person wants to know whether or not a person can sue a doctor overseas who provided false medical information. The person wanting to sue resides in Cayman, in another jurisdiction, but wants to sue an overseas doctor. Give you an opportunity to think about that, Doc, while we take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Study local and go far this spring. Want to start your bachelor's or associate degree, or just need a few classes to complete? Registration is now open for spring classes at UCCI. Scholarships are available for the spring semester, but you need to act now to meet the deadlines. Visit www.ucci.edu.ky to enroll now. Classes begin January 10th. Enroll by December 1st for a chance to win an iPad or a laptop.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have two callers on hold, so we're going straight to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Ocean. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Morning.
Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year.
It's a very interesting you said topic this morning. There isn't much that I can add to what has been said, although their judiciary is something to be, in my opinion, questioned, although who am I to question it? But I have seen many instances where cases have been biased, I would say, in the judiciary. But I'm just a layman. They're the ones that are making the decision. So I can only voice what I see and hear.
So you have an example, any case that you've seen that you believe that the a verdict was or a decision was rendered that you thought was biased?
Well, I have seen several. There's some that individuals have been sentenced for, let's say, 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or you say something that is illegal drugs. Let me just name it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you get other people that you say threaten to kill or have produced whatever weapons or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they get a slap on the wrist.
But that depends on the penalty associated with the offense. Some penalties that are associated with certain offenses are different from others.
I understand.
Are different from others. For instance, the offense of hard drugs. I think some courts have. There's no minimum sentence that prevents the judge from saying, well, I can't go beyond this amount of years. Meanwhile, for murder or something like that, the matter is lifetime, but the law says there you have to impose a certain amount of years in which the person has to serve before they're eligible for parole. So it depends on the offense. It depends on the offense. I think what I was trying to ask you about was, like, for instance, in two cases where drugs are concerned, and where the sentence are set, and two different cases where one sentence was different from the other sentence.
Oh yes, I've seen that too, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that too. I'm not going to call the actual names, but I have seen where someone was caught but not caught with the drugs. Someone was mentioned in the case, and they get 10, 15 years, and another one that was caught with it get like 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've seen that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much, caller, for that.
You.
Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year, Dr. Steve. So good to hear you.
Good. Thank you very much. Good to hear you too.
Thank you. I have two quick comments, and then I have a question I would like to ask. Firstly, I always appreciate the education that both of you give us, and I'm really interested in what you're talking about here this morning. And the second thing is, funny enough, it's a question about court in the Cayman Islands, Dr. Steve, and you don't have to elaborate on it. I can just ask the question, and you can just say yes or no. The scenario would be, if an individual, let's say they were charged originally with attempted murder, and then the prosecutor, accepted a plea of, let's just say, ABA.
Mm-hmm. Or GBH.
Or GBH. And then you go before the judge. Now, in the Cayman Islands, does the judge have the authority to say, after seeing the evidence and clearly the charge don't fit the action in the judge's opinion, and then the judge voices that, does that judge have the authority to say, I'm sorry, I cannot accept this plea, you need to stick with attempted murder, or does the judge not have the authority to do that?
It depends. It depends on what kind of case it is. But usually, it's for the prosecution, the people who are bringing the act, the crown. Mm-hmm. It's for the crown who's bringing the act, the person, the complainant, who's before the court. They are the ones that have the right to say whether they want to reduce the charges or not the courts, and they will tell the courts, this is what we want, this is what we have accepted. The courts usually go along with it. It's very rare that the courts refuse and say, I'm not going to do that because I have my opinion. Because remember now, the court has not adjudicated on it yet. I have seen some magistrates though in the past have said, I'm sorry, but this doesn't look like this look like a GBH instead of a ordinary wounding, and I'm not going to take a plea of wounding. I wouldn't call it magistrates, but I know that has happened sometimes. But usually that's not how it works. All over is the same thing. They go to court and they say, we, the Crown, we, the defense, whether in America or sometime, this is what we have accepted. We have taken a plea. We have a plea bargain here, and they will outline what the plea bargain is, and the judge will then say, okay, that's what you want, and they go along with it.
Okay. All right. You answered the question, which I guess is yes, they can do it. They don't normally do, but they can if they want. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to ask, let me just make another quick comment, please. When we're speaking about enforcing immigration and reforming immigration and stuff, I agree with you 150%, and that needs to be done like yesterday, very aggressively. And we're not going to have another generation, unfortunately, if that's not dealt with now. The horse has left the stable a long time ago on that. Now, maybe we still have a small chance of opening, bringing them back in, but that depends on what the now government wants to do. That cannot be left for another administration. That's my opinion on that one. And I just wanted to ask this question, and this is regarding what we the Caymanians are having to deal with in applying for U.S. visa renewals. You know, with the pandemic, at first, Jamaica was saying, or the embassy in Jamaica was saying, oh, you don't have to come for the interview, just send your passport. And now that's changed. You know, they're wanting an in-person interview, but you can't get an appointment till like another year and a half forward. So isn't it anywhere within our government that they can communicate with these people and say, you know, we live outside of Jamaica, can we not go back to what you were doing before, waive the interviews and just renew the visa? I do understand for a first time an interview is required, but for a renewal, can our government, assist in some way there?
Well, I can tell you, I don't think you cannot dictate to the great United States. Who is Cayman to dictate to the United States? Other large countries can't dictate to them. Russia can't dictate to them. China can't dictate to them. England can't dictate to them. And Caymanian can't dictate. And a visa to enter other people's countries is discretionary. They can do what they want to do. But we have been trying to make it easier for Caymanians to be able to travel up north. That's because that's where we travel, the place we travel to most. They've made an offer to us when we were remodeling the airport. When I was there on the board, they made an offer for us that they would provide clearance in Cayman, pre-clearance in Cayman, so we didn't have to worry about when we stepped off the flight in North America. But then it was too expensive. They needed something like 5,000 square feet of space that would be United States territory, and then the immigration officers and the customs officers, we would have to pay for their
housing and stuff
for
like
their
that,
housing
yes.
and the expenses for them, and that would have been too expensive, and we did not have that kind of people going through our system to be able to make it worthwhile, economically worthwhile. If we had a lot of people like Bermuda and Bahamas now, where they have the pre-clearance, that would be different, but we don't have that. And then the government couldn't pay for that. And so we had to say that we couldn't do it. So it's up to them. It's their country. They can dictate who comes and who goes, and they can dictate the time that they want to make a visa available to you, and there's nothing we can do about that.
I understand, that they have the last say. But I was just wondering, and I clearly understand Cayman is no one to dictate. But I'm not talking about dictating. I'm just wondering if our government, would do an official request to say, we're still in a pandemic. Here's what you were doing before. Could we ask you to continue this? Bearing in mind, we would then have to go to a jurisdiction that is much more infected and less vaccinated.
But they don't care about that.
Okay.
That doesn't phase them.
But I'm told they also have a policy there that before you can enter their embassy, you have to show proof that you were quarantined for 14 days.
Well, I would suggest that you use the waiver in the meantime to go there. That's only $50.
At this
here,
point,
and you can get that.
lost,
You can get that the same day or the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So to go there, so I don't understand why. I mean, if there was no other, if there were a method of entry, that would be different. But we have this waiver system that you can go there.
Caller, I want to thank you. Thank you very much for that. We're going to take our last commercial break. DJ Lynn, if we don't have any callers on hold, we're going to close the phone lines off now because we want to cover these proposed changes in the UK to their Human Rights Act. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, with Dr. Steve Macfield, we'll continue after the short commercial break.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating.
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Those of you who are following us on YouTube, Dr. Steve Macfield has stepped out of the studio for a second. He'll be back. Meanwhile, I will share with you, this is an article from the BBC News website, 14th of December 2021, Human Rights Act, UK government unveils reform proposals. And it talks about the fact that the government has launched what it says will be common sense reforms to the Human Rights Act that will restore confidence in the legal system. It says that the proposals commit to staying within the European Convention on Human Rights, despite pressure from some conservatives to leave the treaty altogether. The government says the plans will also prevent foreign offenders abusing rules around the right to family life. And you would have heard Dr. Steve Macfield speak about the fact that we're seeing more and more of that cropping up in our system as well, and people using portions of our Constitution to argue that point. The article goes on to say that critics warn the final measure could be muddled and unnecessary. Justice Secretary Dominic Raab said the UK will, quote, remain a party to the European Convention on Human Rights, while saying the government wanted to change reforms to revise how it is interpreted by courts. The proposal will recognize the right to trial by jury as it applies variably across different nations in the UK and reinforce the weight given to freedom of speech, adding that this is a quintessentially British right, the freedom that guards all of the others, that is the freedom of speech. He added, freedom of speech does sometimes mean the freedom to say things which others may not wish to hear, but you can say it still. And the article goes on to explain what the Human Rights Act is, and it says that the Human Rights Act was introduced more than 20 years ago, and it sets out a law, a set of minimum standards of how everyone should be treated by public bodies. It includes basic rights to fair trial, life, and freedom from ill treatment, and protections against discrimination or unfair interference in private and family life. The Act's wording comes from the European Convention of Human Rights, a treaty agreed by almost every nation in Europe after World War II. Convention is enforced by a court in Strasbourg, France, which includes judges from the UK and all other nations. It's nothing to do with the European Union. Since the Human Rights Act came into force, most claims of unfair treatment are dealt with by British judges rather than going to Strasbourg. The Human Rights Act has been under repeated attack from critics on the rights of politics who say that it puts European law ahead of British law. So on that Tuesday in November, the government published its long-awaited review of the Act and consultation on its future. It says under the 3-month consultation, the government proposes to change the law to introduce specific circumstances in which a foreign national offender could not claim a right to family life in the UK to challenge their deportation as well. Now, Doc, you have...
can you get that back for me, please?
Sure.
You have to...
I tell you what, in the meantime, when it... Okay.
Yes, because what the law is trying to do is preventing people who have been convicted of some serious criminal offenses to be able to remain in the country, even though a deportation order has been made against them. And this is what...
And you have an article there from the Daily Mail.
I have an article from the Daily Mail.
Share what that says?
It says, I'm sharing it here right now. It says the ability of foreign criminals to dodge deportation on human rights grounds will be curtailed under the new Bill of Rights, Dominic Raab said today. The Justice Secretary told how the reforms will massively restrict the number of appeals brought under the controversial right to private and family life. They will make it far more difficult for appeals to reach court under Article 8 of the European Convention of Human Rights, which was enshrined in the UK law by Labour. That's also enshrined in our law, also too. Mr. Raab also said that freedom of speech was being whittled down as he prepared to unveil the Bill of Rights to strengthen it amid concerns over the rise of cancel culture. Ministers fear a series of controversial rulings won by well-known figures has eroded freedom of expression, a key component of British democracy for centuries. They are also understood to be concerned that woke and political correct campaigners, particularly on social media, are shutting down the legitimate points of view amid a growing cancel culture. In other words, in England, they say the freedom of speech that says you publish and be damned, while in America you can say most anything that you want to say, and there's no defamation or libel laws against you doing that. In England, you have to be careful of the defamation and the libel laws of what you say, and therefore you can go to court and then and what he did say here, what it says here, ministers are series of Ministers fear a series of controversial ruling won by well-known figures has eroded freedom of expression. In other words, you see where the Duchess of what's his name, the prince's wife, just won a case against one of the newspapers.
Meghan Markle.
And I think she's only been awarded £1. Well, this is what happened to your speech. They can go to court, sue you, and then keep you from saying the things that really in other countries would be what would be what you'd be able to say. But the most important thing for me here is the curtailing of people who can invoke Article 8 of the European Conventions to prevent their deportation from the country after they have a deportation order have been made against them when they are charged with serious offences. That has to we need to start doing something like that too, because that affects us as well.
And we're seeing more and more challenges in our local courts now about
local to court to that.
Okay. Now, what do you think about this part? The deputy Prime Minister also pointed out that the reforms would, quote, sharpen the separation of powers, making the UK Supreme Court rather than the Strasbourg court the ultimate judicial arbiter when it comes to interpreting the European ECHR in this country.
Yes. So they want their courts to be the final court for interpreting the European Convention of Human Rights and not Strasbourg in Spain. They don't want that to happen. They want and if they're leaving the European, if they're actually leaving the Europe, why should the European Convention of Human Rights be, and why should Strasbourg be the highest court for them? I mean, it stands to logic that if you're leaving there and you're not belong to there anymore, why should your citizens bypass your court and go to their court?
And it goes on to say that this will be done by reforming the part of the Act requiring the UK courts to take account of Strasbourg's case law.
Yes. And in other words, the European court would follow Strasbourg's case law. Yeah. Or not follow it, but take account of them.
And it goes on to say, we will make it crystal clear that the UK courts are under no duty to follow Strasbourg case law, which itself does not operate a doctrine of precedent.
We should do that here in Cayman also.
Okay.
We will have to adopt that in Cayman also because we are an overseas territory. So we will have to adopt that too. We have to make changes in our laws here too.
Okay, Doc, we got about 5 minutes left. I want to give you an opportunity, if you want to continue with that, or for some closing comments before we close off.
I just want to say that I am happy to be chairman of a board, of a board that is fair, fair, logical, and fair. I'm a chairman of a board of a dedicated group of Caymanian people. I wish that when the amendments are made and the reforms are made, that members of my board can come on to the show and can voice their opinions about it. Certainly, we deal with a lot of work. The next meeting we're having is next week, Thursday. And I'm so happy to be working with such a great group of people who are dedicated, balancing the rights of Caymanians and the rights of the as the preamble to the Constitution says, balancing the rights of those who come in our borders seeking seeking the right to remain permanently, and so forth. And I'm so happy that I have a great group of people who, like I say, who are fair and who applies the law across the board. But notwithstanding all of that, there are some reforms that are needed, and I think that I would not be out of place by saying I think that they agree with me that some reforms are needed too.
And it's only when you start to really, really work closely with the legislation that you start to see some of the loopholes and some of the drawbacks that are in the legislation, or things that are missing that should be there.
Exactly.
As well,
Exactly. Because I can one thing I can discuss now with the legislation is that, and this is, I'm only discussing the legislation now. I'm not discussing what the board does.
Yeah.
The legislation says that if a foreign national is married to a Caymanian and obtains permanent residence because of the marriage, or have Caymanian status because of the marriage, but has not stayed in the relationship long enough for those two, for the Cayman status and the permanent residence to crystallize. And therefore, the board has to make a decision whether or not to continue the permanent residence or to revoke the status. All that foreign national has to do to be able to stay is to go and have a child by not a Caymanian person. And the law says that his position shall continue until that child reaches the age 18 years old. The problem that I have with that, I don't have any problems fulfilling the law. About that. But the problem I have about that, sometime when you look behind the law and you go to see whether the law is being fulfilled, you'll see that the person who is given the right to remain, and I understand the rationale behind the law.
Yes,
it's so that the children can have a continuity with their parent, and that the parent can provide for the child,
financial support,
for the child.
Yes.
But sometimes when you go behind that, you'll see that NEU is supporting the child and the person just working here, sending the money away to another place and not supporting the child.
Yes.
And that has to not be fair.
So we have to ensure that the legislation addresses those issues,
those anomalies
where they try to game the system. Yeah.
In the system. Those are some of the things that I see that has to be addressed.
Okay. Well, Doc, hope and I trust with your business schedule that we'll be able to get you on here, as often as we can throughout the year as well. I want to thank you again, for being with us this morning and making it such an interesting, provocative, as well as informative show as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands in the year of the Caymanian.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And RF Group, money at work.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Light to moderate east to northeasterly winds and seas are expected across Cayman for the next 24 hours as a high-pressure system moves along the southern United States. Our forecast calls for fair to partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of rain and temperatures rising to the mid-80s. Novak Djokovic is not being held captive in Australia, according to a top official, as the men's world #1 tennis player faces deportation over COVID vaccination rules. The Serb star remains in immigration detention in Melbourne after being denied entry on Wednesday. A court challenge is due on Monday, a week before the Australia Open begins. A Czech player has also had her Australia visa canceled. And 2 arrests have been made after 10 bodies were found inside a car in the central Mexican state of Zacatecas. The discovery came after the vehicle was left outside a historic local state governor's office in the middle of a public square. Officials became suspicious of the car and found the bodies early Thursday morning. David Monreal, governor of the Central State Leader, confirmed on social media that 2 suspects had been detained. Those are your headlines. I'm Kersley Fuller.